Alright guys, welcome to I Need a Weapon. I just wanted to point out before this episode fully starts that you need to leave a name for your class, you need to fill out all 10 pick 10 slots, you need to not just tell me to use any perks I want because then there's really nothing for me to review, you're just telling me to use a gun and then whatever I want, I might as well make my own class and review it. So make sure when you leave your class you use all 10 slots, you specify a game mode, and you leave a name for the class. Today's class is from Alex K, and he didn't name his class, but so many of you guys broke the rules. I shouldn't say broke the rules, but just didn't follow the guidelines. So I decided to pick this one anyway, and I'll give it a name at the end of the review because you didn't name it, Alex. But from the moment I read this comment, I had an opinion about the class, and I thought that's a good way to open up the series again, is just to talk about something I'm comfortable with. I have diamond assault rifles, I've used the KN-57 extensively. The game mode he specifies is Control, so this works out well. Throwing his class on screen now, you have the KN-57 with Suppressor, Hybrid Mags, and Stock. You have the Helian Salvo as your secondary. For gear, you have Stim Shots, and for perks, Tier 1, Scavenger, Tier 2, Gung Ho, and Tier 3, Dead Silence. You tell me to play Control with this class, and play Control I did. Unfortunately, it kept putting me into Jungle and Firing Range, which are not great maps for the playstyle that you probably wanted me to use. Let's talk about the playstyle I think this is for. Judging by the attachments and perks, it's for flanking enemies and going on streaks and winning gunfights. One of the things I like about this class, and that you get a point for, Alex, is that this is clearly a OBJ Slayer class. Those are kind of frowned upon by some people, but I personally like them. You're going into the objective game mode with the sole purpose of flanking and killing the enemies, but you threw on the Helian Salvo as your secondary so that if you fail in your mission to slaughter the enemy team and they end up getting UAVs, counter UAVs, or helicopters, you can do your part to take them down. So that's what I'm assuming this class is made for. Dead Silence for flanking, Gung Ho for winning gunfights, Scavenger for staying alive along with Stim Shot, and then Suppressor, Stock, and Hybrid Mags so that you can round corners ready for gunfights. The thing I am going to knock this class for is that it is not very versatile. You can't really play the objective in the game mode that you wanted me to play. You can't play Control without any resistance perks on the objective, at least, optimally. Throughout this series, I'm going to say you can't do things or shouldn't do things, and you might think, well, I can do that just fine. We're not talking about the ability to do something, we're talking about optimal class setups. There's a big difference. I don't have Flak Jacket, I don't even have Cold-Blooded, I don't have Tac Mask, I don't have Engineer. And being on the objective with a suppressor surrounded by teammates that are also shooting off guns is kind of stupid. So this is not a great class for staying on the objective. You'll see me do it occasionally because that's how I like to play Control, but I do end up pulling off a couple of flanks. But I honestly did pretty bad with this gameplay because I just hate the way you set up the KN. So going away from playstyle, let's talk about what the class just doesn't do right. The KN-57, out of all of the assault rifles, is the least competitive gun. I don't care how good you guys are with it, you can't tell me it's better than the Maddox or as good as the Maddox or the ICR or the Rampart or anything. Like, the Rampart got a really nice buff to its accuracy and the KN got a slightly longer 4-shot kill range, but in my opinion, the Rampart buff just completely overshadows the KN-57 buff. The KN-57 just doesn't outdamage the GKS, the MX-9, the Rampart, the Maddox, the ICR, the VPR, the VPR, the Vapor. Core Diet up close, SOG 9mm, shotguns, sniper rifles at a distance, DMRs, everything just kind of outclasses the KN. The KN works just fine, but it's not as versatile as the ICR, and it's not as good as the Vapor. Just straight up, it's just not as good. This class does not play to the KN-57's strengths or the KN-57's weaknesses. If you were to put a foregrip and a red dot sight on this gun, you would have a nicer long-range weapon. If you were to put rapid fire and quick draw on this in place of hybrid mags and stock, you would also have a pretty good gunfight winning class. But you don't, so you're kind of left with something that isn't great at long range because it's suppressor with no foregrip or optic, and it's not great up close because of no quick draw and rapid fire. Now, I tried to do what I think you wanted me to do with this class, which was to flank enemies and then get ready with my sights up and start mowing them down. Now, I'm not saying the class is terrible at this, and I did make it work occasionally, but that almost sounds like something I should be doing on the objective, like screw the suppressor, put on a decent optic, put on some more resistance perks, and then I can strafe people on the objective. The thing is though, is when somebody gets in my face with a Cordite or a SOG, I can't do anything with the KN. I'm not saying I can't win a gunfight with it, but without rapid fire, it just feels so much worse. Some classes need to be built around the weapon's weaknesses, and sometimes they need to be built around the weapon's strengths. A red dot and foregrip combo would make it more accurate and more usable at longer ranges. Rapid fire and quick draw would have made this more usable up close and also at a distance. Again, the only way I found the KN-57 to be competitive is with rapid fire, and the only time I ever get my ass kicked by a KN-57, it's because the person using it is using rapid fire. So I think you're missing out on a lot of killing potential here. Let's talk about your perk and attachment combos. You have gung ho, but you don't have quick draw, so I can't break my sprint and quickly be aiming down sights like a lot of other people are going to be doing to me. Honestly, replacing this with cold-blooded would have been better. Cold-blooded isn't great in this game by any means, but at least it makes me slightly more invisible to a couple things, meaning it'd be easier for me to use the Helion Salvo on stuff like choppers and turrets. Then again, your class would then start to lose its direction. Is it a stealthy Slayer class? Is it a support class? Is it both? What is it better at? Oh, come on, I thought I could actually get something there. That was just a stupid play. That wasn't, like, I can't blame the class for that. I don't know what I was doing. You want your class to have a direct goal, and I think your goal was, again, to be a stealthy, slaying class, which is great, except for the fact that it doesn't really allow for any optimal objective play, and the KN is not set up to win gunfights, especially against multiple opponents. I felt outclassed by just about every gun, and honestly, one of the ways I would make your class better is like this. It's pretty much the exact same class with the Vapor and fast mags instead of the KN and hybrid mags. Also in the picture there I'm using Ghost, but that's supposed to be Dead Silence. I'm sorry, rookie mistake, you can all unsubscribe now. The Vapor is way better for a more flanking Slayer type role, and fast mags would allow you to take out some opponents, reload quickly, and get right back into the action. I don't mind the idea of a more methodical, tactical flanking class for an objective game mode, but I think you messed up in two key areas. You didn't pick the right gun, and then with the gun that you did pick, you didn't set it up properly in order to remedy the gun's pretty apparent weaknesses. If you think this class is perfect, that's fine. If you think rapid fire is unnecessary, that's also fine. These classes are going to be based in my experience and what I believe to be optimal classes. You might not feel the same way, and that's totally alright with me. But instead of complaining to me about my decision, go ahead and recommend me one of your classes if you think that you have a class that is good for winning games. Again, leave a name for your class, a game mode specified for that class, use all pick 10 slots, designate everything, don't give me any of this, use whatever blank you want, I don't want any of that. But moving on to my name for your class and the rating, your class gets a 6 out of 10. 5 being average, your class is slightly above average because I see what you were going for. You just missed it by a couple of attachments or one weapon choice. So I hereby name your class the oh so close class. That's what it is. It was so close to being a 7, an 8, perhaps even a 9. A 10 is reserved for a class that's like, I'd go to make an episode about it, and I'm just so blown away by how well it's crafted together that I just go, shit, I have nothing to say. 10. But your class is slightly above average. Again, leave your guys' classes down below. Name, full pick 10 slots, blah blah blah, designated game mode, blah 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 blah. Okay, see you when I see you. Goodbye.